my students tell me all the time, how do I do makeup for a hooded eye? So we're going to focus on that today. You have chosen the Sultry Glam makeup lesson. What we're going to do is we're going to put the emphasis on your eyes and on your lips. But first, before we dive into that, for those who don't know me, I am Selena Beasley. I am your makeup coach. I work with women in online business. I teach them how to do their makeup for the camera so they can show up for their live webinars and their virtual trainings and their platform appearances looking the part of their success. And April, we want to hear from you. Tell us who you are and what you love about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm April. I am a communication coach, expert, and I help primarily women in real estate, but also really any women that own a business or in sales professions. And I teach them how to improve their communication skills so that they can speak the way they need to speak. They can feel confident being in front of their clients, presenting, giving speeches, whatever the case may be. Better communication leads to better confidence, which leads to more business. So kind of in line with what you do as far as appearance, like everything that we do communicates information, the way we look, the way we present ourselves, the way we move our hands when we talk, our eye contact, all of these things are complementary to the words that we use. And so making sure that we know exactly what words to say or to write or to use in what settings. Women tend to be more sensitive to reading the room, knowing what people are needing at the time and how to speak to them in a way to reach them. So that's what I do. I teach them to do that, and I love that.
I appreciate what you said about how your look and your message should align.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of expound on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So let's pretend for a minute that you've been invited to present on a stage next to Tony Robbins and Amy Porterfield and all these great big names in business, right? And you show up and you're in sweats and like 2-day-old ponytails and your favorite shirt that's pretty much see-through. It doesn't matter how amazing your message is. If you show up on that stage looking that way, people will not listen to you in the way they would if you walked onto that stage with your best face on, your best hair on, your comfiest but best looking, business blazer or comfy blouse and, a nice pair of jeans and boots, whatever the case may be. You show up looking like that, one, you're going to grab attention immediately, which is what you want to do. But then that look aligns with the amazing message that you're presenting as well. So if you're making a series of YouTube videos teaching, professionals how to build their business, you got to look the part and sound the part. If you're hopping on camera to teach 5th graders how to spell different words, look the part, whatever that part is. So that's really where aligning your look and your message, because again, all of those things communicate information, and you want that information to be in alignment across all those channels.
I'm glad that we get to work today to put together this look. The key with the Sultry Glam look is you want your complexion to be like just a glowing backdrop for these eyes and lips that are going to pop. So we've got a little bit of highlighter here on our cheekbones. Okay, great. Let's move on to your lips.
Okay.
You have these beautiful full lips. You have a very well-defined Cupid's bow, and so the great thing about that is you can go with a nude liner, or you can go with a colored liner to match your lip color.
So I tend to experiment with different things. I'll buy like cream eyeshadows and things, but they weren't great on your lips. So for the color that you liked, I used, now this actually is a lip crayon, but this is Velvet Matte Lip Crayon in Ruby. So it's a very vibrant red. I don't know if you can see. It's a really, really vibrant red. So I use that first after the liner. Then I take this e.l.f. eyeshadow stick. So it's just an eyeshadow. I decided to turn it into a lip color.
But I love you got creative with it. And I love that. Okay, that looks beautiful backdropped with you have a very cool undertone to your skin. And that's why a color like this ruby red, works for you. Yeah. So I just want you to notice that even if, like, for my makeup minimalists who, they don't like to wear a lot of makeup, April just did her cheeks and her lips, and it's already, her eyes are sparkling even more than when we got on this call. So it's bringing out her eyes. I call this palette the Jewel Mist. Now, April has these beautiful brown eyes, and people with brown eyes, the color wheel really is their oyster, because brown really is a combination of all the colors. But for my brown-eyed beauties, I like to focus on palettes that have a little more jewel tone to it. So we've chosen a palette. She's going with a rosy, like a dusty rose base shade, and I'm going to show you how to apply that. We're going to use like a red wine sort of amethyst accent shade, and just a muted neutral highlight shade. So 3 eyeshadows for this look, and let's rock and roll. So the first shade is the base shade, that rosy kind of mauve. And what I want you to do is take a sort of general eyeshadow blending brush.
This one.
Okay, great. So it's really all in the direction in which you apply it.
Okay.
So you will want to start at the lash line. Okay, like right where you would apply your eyeliner.
Okay.
And I want you to start with the heaviest application of it from there, and then you're going to kind of smoke it upward. You want to keep the inner corner of your eye the lightest, so we're going to go kind of light to dark.
Okay.
So we're going to, the darkest color is going to be at the corners. I'm going to give you a very, very easy, simple trick to find the right placement for your crease. So your natural crease, obviously you're not going to want to place eyeshadow in your natural crease, because when you open your eyes, it's just going to disappear. So we have to assign what I call the makeup crease. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. You can either take a makeup brush or your thumb, and you can kind of feel where your brow bone begins to curve into the eye socket. So you see,
kind of like right there.
Yeah, so like right above there. So
Okay.
you're not going to want to bring your base eyeshadow higher than that crease.
Okay.
This is where it's going to stop. Another sort of quick way to find that crease is if you look straight on into the mirror and you make sort of like a concerned face, almost like you hood your eyes even more. This spot right here that touches the lash, this is where the crease is.
Right there. Okay.
Yes. So start at your lash line and then work that shadow up toward that crease.
Okay, so it's about halfway in. I don't want to go all the way across with it dark, right?
So as you can go all the way across, but you want it to go from like a dark, like light to dark. So you can put the base shade all over your lid, but just emphasize the darkness there in the corner. Exactly what you're doing is the right thing to do. So you have identified your makeup crease, which is higher than your natural crease, and you've just smoked out that base shade beautifully. Now with hooded eyes, you want to keep the most drama at the lash line and right above. That way, you know, when you blink, you see just that like peak sort of pop of color. So you want to, with the accent shade, we'll call it a red wine. With the red wine accent shade, you're going to almost want to apply it just above the lash line, almost like you would an eyeliner. And we want to keep that color really dark and concentrated right along that lash line.
All the way across?
All the way across. When it comes to these fine lines, you know, you want to have like a real tight eyeliner or a tight line of eyeshadow. I don't know anybody who can draw a perfectly straight line. So I will create sort of like a dotted line across my lid, you know, just kind of dot it and then go try to fill it in. We want to pull the eyes out and up. And so we're going to do that with this accent shade, and we're going to do it. It's just an accent, meaning less is more. So it's not going to be, you know, terribly, terribly dark or thick. With your brush, take the accent shade.
So that's
and
right.
That's the amethyst shade that you
Okay.
just lined your lash line
Same
with.
color.
And you want to assign it, you can kind of see where I did it here, just to the corners, and just kind of do like a little swirl, like an eighth to a quarter of the way into your eye.
So like right about here.
Yes. Yes. And just ever so lightly right in the corner.
Okay.
That's what we want to emphasize. So it's going to bring the color that's above your lash line, and it's going to connect it to the corners, and it's just going to create this dynamic look to your eyes, and it makes your eyes sparkle. I love it. Take your base shade, that rosy, that dusty rose that we did, and I want you to dust it along about 3/4 of the way along your lower lash line. And this is where that dusty, smoky look is really going to come into play.
This is the secret sauce right here.
This is the secret sauce, yes. Okay, so with your highlight shade,
Okay.
I want you to start on the outer corner, and I want you to begin to go over the lines you created and really just think about, rather than going like a hard blend swipe, think you're blurring these lines.
Okay.
With the highlight shade. Yes. And we're not going to go much higher than that for you. See, with a hooded eye, we want to balance the attention. There's more real estate underneath the brow bone to your eye, and if you use a highlighter up here, it's just going to draw more attention to it. So if you take a highlight shade and instead just kind of go over the area that you just created, and it's not going to, you're still going to get the color, you're still going to get the drama, but it's going to be softer. And that's what we want to do. We want to soften it up. You've done a beautiful job already, and we're not done.
We're not done.
So let's go ahead and apply your eyeliner. You're going to get the tightest line with a liquid or a gel liner. And that's what we want. We want a nice tight line.
Yeah.
Right? Almost think that you're like almost resting it on the lash, like on the lashes. Like use the lashes as sort of like a little ledge to place your eyeliner.
And then how far in am I starting? Just kind of where the color ends?
You can do end to end or 3/4 of the way in. I recommend that. The key is just to keep this line, it's supposed to go from thin to thicker. The thickest part's going to be on the outside. One trick for creating a tight eyeliner line, if you're using pencil, is you can kind of see, I will look down at a mirror and almost think about pushing the for in between the lashes.
Okay,
And it will tighten up that line.
Okay.
You are ready for mascara.
Woo.
I don't recommend anything but black mascara because I feel like it really doesn't do much for you, anything less than that. So a black, preferably volumizing mascara. Okay, that's going to be great for this look.
Yes.
And you want to do the upper and lower lash lines.
What are your thoughts on eyelash curlers?
I have strong thoughts on eyelash curlers, especially with a hooded eye. You really want to, again, we want to focus the drama on our lash line. Start the curl at the base of your lash, close as you can to your lash line, and then bring it up, give it a curl on the middle of the lash, and then again at the tip. It's going to give you that, it's going to give your eyelashes that nice contour.
Trying to get all those little baby lashes at the end.
Yep.
So hard.
One of my new favorite tools is, I call it a lash rake. I don't think it's called a lash rake.
Is it like the little comb? Yep, I have one of those.
I love these.
Yeah.
I use them all the time, and like it just kind of gets in there and separates all the lashes, and I love it. You have created a smoky look for a hooded eye.
Yay.
Now, give me kind of like what are your observations?
So it was easier than I thought it was going to be. That's awesome. Don't like to spend a lot of time getting ready. So this being a lot easier than expected will save me time. I could probably do this whole thing plus contour and the whole works in 20 minutes or less, which is awesome.
Yes, without a doubt. It should not take longer than 10 or 15 minutes to put together like a camera ready look. When you know your facial structure and okay, we want to pull those eyes out, we really want that color to pop right at your lash line, then you can focus your time and your energy and even your product use in those areas.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that I love that you said, don't fill in all the real estate, because that is a lot of space from here to there.
mm-hmm.
And so I'm always like putting the super light powder like up under the brow. And then, I do like the shimmers, but I have learned that a little shimmer goes a long way. Like just use your finger and like tap a little bit like right on the inside when you're done.
So when I'm working with my students that are doing their makeup for camera, all the formulas are matte,
mm-hmm.
so that they don't scatter the light. But if you were going to modify this look and use a shimmer, I would focus the shimmer along that lash line. Okay. And when, make your accent shade a more shimmery shade so that when you blink, you've got that, that pop there.
Oh.
You said something to me you said you're judged by your appearance and by the words that
yes.
you use. And what you teach is to communicate in a way that builds trust with your audience. So how does putting together a thoughtful and intentional look like this, how does this serve to sort of bolster your efforts in communication and building that trust with your audience?
So people listen with their eyes. Plain and simple, right? The very first impression that you give to someone is through their eyeballs, not through their ears. So when you show up with a look that complements what you're going to say and commands their attention, they're already listening to you with their eyeballs. So you've already got them. But if your spoken message and your visual message aren't in alignment, you're not going to catch that first impression of listening through the eyeballs. So if you want to immediately grab attention, trust, earn credibility, credibility is formed in seconds or less. Show up in a way that aligns with your message, and knowing who you're speaking to, who you're going to be in front of, can help you really tailor the look that you're going for. If I'm meeting a client in person for the first time, I am going to align my look with their look, and that's so that they can feel like we're on the same level. So I'm a jeans and t-shirt kind of girl, right? But this particular client I met with, she actually is an attorney, funny, but she's also a realtor, and she comes from court, she comes to our calls and whatnot, and she's usually in a dress or a business suit or something like that. And so to meet her in person, I dressed accordingly, not to change myself, not to be inauthentic, because I will dress to the nines if I need to, and I enjoy it. But I wanted her to feel like she could relate and we were on that same plane. And so I presented myself in that manner. You can do that too. Just know your audience. Present the look that aligns with what their expectations are and the expectation you wish to set for them. That's the biggest thing, is you've got to know what they expect, because you need to be the one to set that expectation. So knowing your stage, knowing your audience, knowing your message, making sure that those things are in alignment, that is the key to success.
What's one thing you would say to maybe someone who's listening that is just apprehensive about elevating their look, their personal style, because they're scared that they're just not going to feel like themselves and they're going to be self-conscious? And what would you say to them?
I love to speak in figurative language because I think it helps people make sense of things. So what I say, think back to the very time you got behind the wheel of a car. You were probably very scared, nervous. You're like white knuckling the steering wheel. You're checking every mirror. You're making sure your signals work. You're making sure the cars aren't too close. You're probably going a little slow, but you did it, right? And the more you did it, the more comfortable you get. Now you're cruising down the freeway 85 with one hand on the wheel and one hand on the steering wheel, and you're like looking out the window, and you've got this. it's no different. That first time, you just have to buckle up, hold onto the wheel, and go for it. You know, try, and don't try all the boldness at one time, a little bit. You know, if you're like, all right, I'm going to try a dark, you know, a red lip or a bold lip. Don't do anything else crazy that day. Keep everything else just easy and comfortable, but try the red lip. And don't go like bright ruby red. Do like a nice muted red.
Right.
And then,
Right.
that, you know, gradually you're like, oh, I kind of like that. I'm going to add some brown, or I'm going to do a different eye color today. You know, little by little, you're going to get into that groove where you're cruising at 80 with not a care in the world.
Thank you so much just for saying that. That's a beautiful analogy. And April, how can people stay connected to you? Where can they find you? How can they work with you?
So they can find Instagram 10 spelled out TEN, the number 4, communications with an S. Go follow my page or my website, which is www.10-4 communications.biz, B-I-Z. And you can reach out to me directly as well. I love working with women in business positions, sales, leadership, presenters, speakers. I write biographies, like bios for presenters and speakers. I write those, and I can help you fine tune your message so that you can put on your best presentation, be it your message or you're presenting on a stage or you're just making a video and getting in front of your clients. So that's the best way to connect with me is through social or my website.
Great. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoy going about your day with your sultry glam look.
I love it.
You are lovely. And we look forward to what's in the future for you. We're excited about it, and we look forward to staying connected. So thanks, April.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Talk to you later.